Awesome, thanks everyone. So now we're going to dive into some of these questions. I just want to let the crowd be aware that I asked all of these students, or sorry, they're no longer students, these young adults, to share their point of views on some of these questions, but to avoid having everyone answer every question. We're just going to go around and make it a little bit more conversational. So please bear with us. So for the panel, I consider the four of you as voices of the future. As a Gen Xer, I've had the opportunity to work with and learn from several generations. Each are unique. What do you think are some generational differences your generation would bring to our industry? This time we'll start on the end and work our way this way.
Okay. I think as a Gen Zer, something that I've been noticing going into the workforce too is that we are bringing work-life balance to the forefront. I think that looking at older generations, everyone's very hustle culture in their first few years of their career. But I think as Gen Z, bringing that work-life balance and bringing our real selves to work from the very start can really help change culture and just the way that we work with other people in this business. So.
I would say that from my perspective of being a Gen Zer, I would say to make the industry the way it is, to make things change or make things feel more inclusive, I see things from my perspective that I want the industry to see it as you want to be inclusive with everybody. You want people to feel welcome. You want the future to change. We want the future to be brighter, but in order to do that, we need to let the future know you are welcomed here. You are a part of that. You know, we are a part of this and making the advertising marketing industry more grow and bigger, and for the future of our young generation to show our older generation, this is how we can be able to make people feel more inclusive, to make the industry bigger and better and have the future be brighter than what it was before.
I would say from my perspective, we all know each generation is very diverse. However, our generation did grow up with a more accepting trait of all different walks of life. And I think growing up from a young age from that all the way on, we can bring that new perspective into any industry that we work in. And I think it's just gonna give a new perspective to all.
Okay.
You gotta be the right spot.
Yeah, here? Okay. So in my perspective, I think in our generation, we are more connected than compared to the other generation, because every morning, guess, like you wake up and then you see what's happening in the other side of the world. So which means that you can get many different ideas and inspiration from even social media about the culture you have never experienced before. It's giving very different idea and then perspective, which is accepted in other people, many place and space. So that's one benefit of our generation. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love hearing the point of view from everyone, especially hearing that my generation doesn't have any work-life balance. So well, no, that was a great response. Thank you. I look forward to working for at least one of you at some time in the rest of my career. So now we'll dive into some of the additional questions. Okay, so the BrandLab has 4 pillars: exposure, access, opportunity, and equity. Let's talk about these 4 pillars and how they've impacted your budding careers. I'd like to start with exposure. How are you exposed to marketing and advertising as a profession? Kennedy, can you start?
Yeah, so I went to Winona State University and I was a part of our AIGA chapter club on campus. And one of my first events was a portfolio one-on-one where I met Miss Heather Olson, and she really inspired me. She loved my portfolio, which was so great to hear. And she actually tied me into my first in-person internship. And she is also someone who introduced me into the BrandLab as well. And we officially got to meet last summer. And I want to say that was a big connection for me. And that was one of my first exposures into the industry.
I would say my exposure to BrandLab was back in 2021. I heard about BrandLab before, but I was like, oh yeah, I really want to learn more about it until last year when I applied and learned more about what BrandLab does, what they do for the youth of or BIPOC individuals, and the youth of BIPOC for high school and college. So I was like, I really want to get more involved. So my exposure to BrandLab was just the BrandLab's existence. I guess I would say the BrandLab, just its mission, wanting to help others and help especially young kids find their voice within the marketing advertising industry, was really powerful to me. And especially I went to school for that, school for liberal arts and advertising marketing, and I was just like, this was meant for me. And then so now I want to expose other people to BrandLab, so they can maybe be in the same position I am now. So.
I grew up watching advertisements, being super creative, and just like having that passion for creative work. And so in high school, when my peers were doing the BrandLab, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. Like, where else can I find an opportunity like this? So I talked to the internship director, got my first internship, and it was just such a great experience, being able to dive myself into a career that I initially had like an interest for, and then realizing that it can be a fuller thing, something that I can carry throughout my life. So, yeah.
Excellent. As we're speaking about exposure, I think the BrandLab has done an amazing job of providing that space to provide that additional exposure to people like the young professionals up here on this panel. So again, thank you, BrandLab, for what you're doing to create that exposure. And I think everyone up here has their network to thank for all those exposure moments that they got to this industry. So thank you all. So now we'll move on to access. What types of access points did you feel like you were given or not given as you pursued your profession?
Yeah, so in my experience as an international student, here? Okay, so whenever you apply for a job or internship, one last question you would see is, do you need a work visa? Do you need like work visa sponsorship? And if you check yes and doesn't get reply, then you think, is it because of I'm international? And then I checked yes to the question. So that was every time that I have experienced, even my friends a lot. So, but then the BrandLab thankfully accept me to give me the opportunity to expose myself. Then finally I'm here. So yeah, I'm really glad that I could get the access and then I could show myself. So which is really, really huge jumping, because I had boundary as an international, but then now I break the boundary, and now I have choice and I have opportunity to show my work and myself and my work ethic more and more.
For me, I grew up kind of being told that I need to work really hard because I might not be given the same opportunities as everyone else. Like, that's what my parents kind of instilled in me. So I was scared of being denied access in the first place. And so I think that's why it pushed me to work 10 times harder to find that access area or that way into the industry. And I was fortunate enough to meet great supervisors, great mentors who were able to see my potential and really dive into those opportunities and grow from them.
Thank you. And you mentioned how your parents suggested, or your parents instilled in you that you needed to work 10 times harder. Can you share a little bit more about that? Like, did you feel that helped you with your career choices, and how has that prepared you for even for your role you have today?
I think, well, at first, definitely it's like kind of a toxic mindset to have because, but I think it's, sorry, what was your question? It's, sorry.
How has that working 10 times harder helped you?
Yeah, I think it's helped me in a lot of ways. I think a lot of it comes from obviously the model minority myth of having to really fit to this like Asian standard. But I think regardless, it's helped me be more bold and brave in the decisions that I make, especially when it comes to my career, and being able to look back at my successes and be like, well, I earned this because I worked hard for it.
Absolutely. And I think, for the audience, for everyone up here being someone of color, it seems to be a pretty prominent thing that we are all taught at an early age that we do need to work sometimes 10 times harder. Does anyone else on the panel have any comments or any experiences with being shared or being told that you need to work 10 times or twice as hard to get anywhere?
When I was younger, that was a big thing for my dad. Both of my parents are very independent, and I was raised to be a very independent woman, and I'm also the older sister of 3 younger brothers, so I had that on my back as well. But ever since a young age, I've had that, and I've carried that ambition, and I don't plan on stopping it anytime soon.
Excellent, excellent. Good for you.
I also wanted to share this. Being somebody who's on the autism spectrum, I was told to always work hard, to be sure to work hard on your goals, to work hard to be able to fit in, to be able to read, write, all that, and then I guess just being able to work hard. I guess my mindset of being able to work hard to get able to where I'm at, it just shows that also the lead on to what Sky said about giving that access to opportunity. BrandLab just gave me that opportunity to just be me, but also give me the help if I needed it, and just being able to be like, yeah, they didn't bat an eye at me being on the spectrum either. So I have BrandLab to thank for that too, but also just being able to work hard is something I always strive to do, and that's what BrandLab helped me. BrandLab helped me a lot with figuring out who I am as a worker, but as a creative too. So
Excellent. And thank you for sharing that. Your generation is by far the most ethnically diverse and on par to be the most educated generation yet. I believe your generation is going to be world changers, and I'm here for it. What are some of the cultural changes and/or opportunities that need to be addressed that you think your generation will spearhead and get across the finish line? I'll start with you, Moustapha.
Okay, back to me. So I guess to give more people, and this is we're based around opportunity, correct? Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure I answer correctly. So with giving people opportunities, BrandLab has showed me that anybody, anywhere can, if given the right time, they can have that opportunity. And like I said, being a person of color, being on the autism spectrum, BrandLab showed me for sure that like I am capable. I'm able to have the opportunity if I do that initiative to get to where I want to be with that. And I guess BrandLab just to be able to give more people opportunity, I would say just be more open, get to know more what they want to do, get to know more of where they lie within the industry. Show them around, or show interns or fellowship or different points or different perspectives of the industry, whether that's through production, strategy, copywriting, whatever. I'd say just show them everything and give them that opportunity to find where they want to be. So that's what I would say BrandLab did for me, and I will hope they would continue onward and other companies will do the same, just to show them that it's not just one thing. There's numerous, it's a huge world out there that you can choose from. So I would say just give them that opportunity to find and choose what they want to do.
Absolutely, thank you.
So sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know. And in the BrandLab, they taught us early on that connections are everything. And keeping those good connections throughout your career will help you. But it's not just the connection. You as an individual have to want to pursue that. They gave you the building blocks, and now it's up to you. Like, you can talk to your friends and family to see what like they would advise you to do, but in reality, it still comes down to your decision to push through that connection and to carry out any opportunity that presents itself through your career. And the BrandLab really taught us that, and I've made so many amazing connections, and I hope to make a few more today. And the BrandLab is just not stopped with that endless connection tower. So thank you for that.
Awesome, thank you for that answer. Right now, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot, and I promised I would not do that. However, you all are talking to an audience of decision makers and an audience of people who have the ability to create those opportunities. If you had one ask of all these people in the room, what would that ask be that would allow people of your generation to get more opportunities?
I would say present it to us more. And I know that sounds vague, and I know people say, yes, you post on social media and everything, but sometimes just to find an experience, you have to go through multiple different umbrellas. Like, I don't think I would have found out about the BrandLab if I didn't have people who knew me send me different things about it. So maybe making it as public as possible, that there are these opportunities and they are open for everyone, whether you have a connection at that industry or not.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can say that. I don't know. I'm keep saying about as an international. I'm really glad that though. But I would say to work with like the international people and then to bring more diversity and equity here. I think we need to spend more time to know or time on researching about how to bring diversity here rather than speaking, just like only speaking or supporting about diversity, but we also need to act on it. We need to know about how to work with people, how to work with other people from other country, and what's the process is, what's the, yeah, literally, it doesn't come freely, but you need to spend more time on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Yeah, and I would just say to hire, develop, and train people of color. I think overall, just like simply put, not simple process, but simply put. And I think that there's something to say about being curious and still educating yourself no matter what area of your career that you're in, and being able to be open, not just open, but initiate conversation, especially I'm talking specifically to people of color, because a lot of people here are ready to have that conversation or share their experiences to help advise you in the decisions that you make, especially from a hiring standpoint. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Moustapha, anything to add, or should I? I will say, you know, as I've gotten to learn this panel just from yesterday and today, one of the things that I realize is that us as an industry, we need to break our old habits and reach out and find ways to connect with students and find ways to connect with our younger generations and speak to them on their level. Sometimes us going to the same well to get the same results, it's not a way that we're going to be able to increase those opportunities for these young budding professionals and these students who are trying to break into our industry. So I would say to the audience, I challenge you all to find ways of creating those additional opportunities so that we can continue inspiring and bringing in young professionals like you see on this panel today. So my challenge to everyone in the room. So moving on to actually we're moving pretty quickly, moving on to our final question. I'm sorry, 2 more questions. Events like today's Fearless Conference are designed to address equity and to support our marketing and advertising industry's need for equity. What advice do you have for everyone participating in today's event that supports our shared desire for equity within this industry? Kennedy, I'll start with you.
So I feel like some people get confused about equity versus equality, and equity actually means having fairness or justice for all people, which is what the BrandLab has started to do and is continuing to grow. As you see, they've been putting on all these events, all the fellowship and internship programs have been expanding, and that's just one organization that is doing an amazing job, but we need more industries like this so that the younger voices are heard, and specifically, yes, in the BIPOC community, since we don't have as many people advocating for us as we may like in the industry. But the BrandLab has started that mission, and it's going to continue to push that mission on, and I hope that all of you industry professionals are closely working to up your DEI or to even up having something similar to what the BrandLab has started.
Amen. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Scott?
Yeah, so going off the sentence that I just tell before, before starting with the BrandLab, what I always have told was you better apply to a company that has at least 10,000 employees to get visa sponsorship. That's the only thing that I have heard. So should I only apply to big companies? So, and thankfully I met the BrandLab, and then I could have opportunity to work with the beta order. And then, yeah, I remember that years ago, I met one person and he told me that, oh, Beta Router has never experienced with hiring international as full-time job. And now guess they are going through the process of hiring international as a full-time job. Even they are not 10,000 employee, they are under even 1,000 employee, but they are going through it because they spend time to know about the process and then what's the meaning of hiring international. And it's, of course, it's complicated than hiring local people, but it's not that complicated than you think. So to bring equity and diversity in this industry, we need to spend more time to know about it, yeah.
Absolutely, thank you for sharing that. And Yayoua.
My answer would be kind of short because I think my last thing about hiring, developing, training people of color is very good advice for this portion of the question. But just in addition to that, when you are in the hiring process, just being the Gen Z mindset, I would say, like being open-minded and just really diving into, there's so much information that I think it's easy, especially when you're stuck in your process, like Dorion had said, to not think about, especially if you're doing it day in and day out and just like, I'm hiring this person, but just really taking a second to put thought into every single decision that you make, and making sure that it's an equitable decision.
Awesome, thank you for that point of view. And we are moving along quite fast. I'm almost running out of questions, so we'll have a little bit more time to open up questions to the audience. But before we open things up to the audience, I have one final question for everyone on this panel. As you've benefited from the efforts of the BrandLab and possibly other initiatives with shared goals, how will each of you pay it forward? What will you do to support and continue these efforts? Moustapha, I'll start with you.
So I guess for me, I would want to help BrandLab further. Of course, like being part of the alumni board and giving out ideas for like other certain events or things like that. But I also want, in general, just I want to go to schools. I want to be able to go figure out to get more people involved, get more people to know about the BrandLabs, what their mission is, their existence, just to be able to be like, yeah, the BrandLab has a great thing going, and I think that I think that BrandLab in general just has for me an ideal mindset to help BIPOC voices and BIPOC youth to be heard and seen. So I think to pay it forward is just to let more people know about BrandLab and also just to get more involved with what the BrandLab is doing onward.
Well, I'm first going to start by being a mentor to one of the new fellows coming up this summer. And I hope to, in the future, my future goal is to be a creative director. And once I am in that spot, I would like to be a sponsor and give back to a company that helped me start my career.
Absolutely, absolutely.
For me, I'm more encouraging people, like especially international people, not to fear about staying here. And because also, yeah, of course there are barriers, but then there are also organizations such as the BrandLab supporting us. So yeah, I'm always cheer for the BrandLab and people like me. Yeah.
Absolutely, thank you.
I think I would pay it forward in the same way that people did for me when I first started, especially with the BrandLab. So mentorship, being a good supervisor in my career as I'm hopefully in more management levels, paying attention to hiring processes and how things, and checking myself in my own career as well, and like making sure that it's equitable and that things are true to my values, and carrying through that out through every single mentorship, every single informational interview that I give to the youth.
Excellent, thank you. I think we should give this panel another round of applause for being so brave, getting up here and sharing their experiences.
Yeah!
All right, audience, I'm gonna open up questions. We did finish a little bit early, so I know we were planning on only doing 4 questions for the audience, but maybe we have time to do a little bit more. So is someone going to help us and read off a couple of questions from the people joining us online. Oh, okay, I was told we should start in the room. Are there any questions from anyone in the room who would like to ask this panel?
We got one here.
Hi, good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for your contributions. This is wonderful. One of the things that really strikes me about the four of you is your confidence, and it's very inspiring. And also to be sitting in that chair is hard. So thank you. My question to you is, what would you say to a mentor who is working with other people of a younger generation that maybe don't have the confidence or believing in themselves? How do you help someone believe that they can?
I guess I feel like I can really answer this one. I'm somebody who I wasn't confident at all at first. Like I had to build that, and a lot of people just don't have confidence like that. A lot of people have to build that up. So, and it takes like a lot of self talk and a lot of building up for yourself to tell yourself. So I guess what I would tell people or someone who might be like, well, I want to do this, but I might be nervous to speak, or I just might be nervous to put myself out there. And my first advice would be, or my initial advice would just be, just be yourself, of course. But if you don't take that opportunity, then that opportunity will never be taken. And so I guess you have to have that confidence in you. And even if that first opportunity might not go somewhere at first, that doesn't necessarily mean you did it wrong or that your confidence wasn't enough. You just have to build to that. And so I guess my advice is just be confident in your ability to make connection, be confident in your ability to speak, and be confident in your ability to just be your most authentic self when presenting yourself and putting yourself in that position. So I guess just having that mindset of, I can do this, I'm capable, and somebody might feel differently or might feel like and mainly yourself might not feel that way, then I guess I would say just have that confidence in you. And so that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, because I've had amazing mentors, and I think something that every single mentor I've had has done is constant encouragement. Even if I made a mistake, even if I am having a breakdown about something that happened during an internship, they're constantly encouraging me to learn from it, to do something out, take something out of it. And even alongside that, as a mentor, catering it to your mentee's journey, giving them advice on what they're not confident in. What do you not feel confident in? How can I help you build that? My mentors have done an amazing job at that. So that's what I'd say.
Absolutely.
Hello?
You have any more questions?
I gotta ask, because I know we're all thinking it. How do you balance the gotta work 10 times harder with work-life balance?
I'm sorry, we couldn't really hear it well on the stage.
How do you balance, I gotta work 10 times harder with work-life balance? How do you solve that?
That was your question. But I'll answer it because I'm known as a busybody person, which is pretty true. I do a lot of traveling for my rugby team. For example, I've been to Nashville, Chicago, Denver, and Colorado's the same place, Iowa, all within the last month. And I've also been working on some community projects back home. And doing that is, I know when I need to get sleep, I know when I have to eat, and I know when I have to train. So I manage my time accordingly so that I can make sure that I have the life that I want to do, be with my friends and my family, but also making sure that I'm still effective in the workplace and as a designer as I continue to grow my career.
It is hard, I guess, right? But, and I'm still very early in my career, so I don't even know if I can answer that fully. But I will say something I learned is like during internships, doing jobs to my current job, I was constantly hustling and I was working 10 times hard. My mental health, my physical health was just horrible. And I think being in an environment and setting boundaries with my boss and being like, and her supporting me too in that, I think has been very pivotal in being able to be like, I work really hard at this job, but also I'm able to have a life outside of it and be myself at work and not have to sacrifice either, if that makes sense.
Are there any other questions?
Hi, thank you so much. You're just wonderful, impressive young people, and we applaud everything you're doing. I wanted to ask, since the pandemic, many employers are having people come back to the office hybrid. Some are remaining remote, and some are fully on site. And I'm wondering what is working best for each of you?
Okay, so personally, I do like the hybrid styled workplace just because I can work from home and I can go in person. And even though the position that I'm starting at the Socialites, I will be very in person, which is totally fine because it's going to push me to get back out there and just be around people during the day instead of just in my room in a hoodie on my computer. So yeah, I would say that that's worked out very well, and I hope that no one takes away that opportunity for some people, especially people who may have a high form of anxiety and can't go into the workplace all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna add to that because I would say for me, I'm an on-site person, but I would say there are times where I understand people that might have major anxiety or feel like they can't be around big groups of people. So doing hybrid is nice, and I do like hybrid, but for me personally, I am an on-site person. I love being around people. I love seeing the faces. I love hearing the voices. I like just being around that environment. And I just like knowing what's going on within the office and being able to see it and being able to be a part of the moving gears and the working clock. And yeah, so I would say, but it just all depends on the person, you know, it just depends on whether they feel comfortable with. And I guess that could add into the whole like equity thing to like when hiring, just like when knowing about it, just know that that person wants to do like hybrid or that works or hybrid and on-site or remote, you know, it just all works on me, works on the person. So I would say for me, I'm on site, but that really works for me personally.
Very short, remote all the way for me, so very different. I hate the commute, love being at home, and just being able to have that trust with all of my coworkers has been really good.
So for me, as a creative worker, as a graphic designer, I feel like for me, sitting in the office doesn't mean that I'm working, because you need to be refreshing and you always need new perspective, new inspiration. So having hybrid is really good opportunity. Sometimes because you need your time to think about your work, but at the same time, you need objective perspective that other people see your work. So that's a really good balance between having your own inspiration versus and having others' opinion. So yeah, I prefer hybrid.
Are there others?
Okay, we're going to switch to some online questions.
Okay.
What has been your greatest challenge within the ad creative industry, or what brings you the most hope and excitement about the intersections of DEI and the creative industry?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part of the question? I'm so sorry, I just want to be able to answer it.
Yep. What has been your greatest challenge within the ad creative industry, or what brings you the most hope and excitement about the intersections of DEI and the creative industry?
Thank you. So I would say for me as somebody who's really into creative videography, photography, video editing, post-production, stuff like that. I would say what gets me the most excited about the advertising marketing industry is just because of how big it is. I like learning about everybody's roles. I like learning about how everybody works with each other. And the most exciting part is getting to know how it all works and knowing what everybody does and how everybody does it. I guess the long story short answer, I'm excited for the overarching advertising marketing industry as a whole. I get curious. I'm curious about everything. I'm curious about, yeah, I just love learning about the whole aspect of what makes it all work. So I guess I would say, but specifically, it would have to be more of like just getting to know the people. The people aspect is what gets me most excited.
Okay, one more question. What are your thoughts on AI technology and the impact it will have on jobs that talent may miss out on, especially the BIPOC industry?
I think because recently I've talking about the AI stuff a lot, even in the morning today. When I take the Uber, I even talk about the AI and how do you think about AI, and then, woo, like, do you think AI will dominate the arts or design industry? So it's like, but what I have experienced during the school, and especially I'm more focusing on the AI or computer generative arts, because that's my kind of interesting. In that case, I would feel that like in the future, maybe AI will take the foundational work, like making some visual impact or things like that, but still they need input, like prompts, and then the idea and system and how to research human behavior and then what's the human being react to. So that's gonna be the future strategy working in this field, thinking about how to make system, thinking about how to research rather than doing foundational basic work.
I'm the moderator, so I don't have to chime in on that one.
Okay, let's ask one more question. Why do you feel that, excuse me one second. Here.
Why do you feel the work of TBL is so important and necessary? What's their why behind being involved in this work?
Because no other industry is opening and accepting BIPOC students like the BrandLab is right now, and they are helping our voices be heard when there may have been other opportunities that we did not get in the past, and they focus on us. They truly do, and they're even here for us even after we're done with our program and everything, and they're watching us to see if we're gonna continue to grow, and they're always including us in activities or including us in advice and anything that they can share, and there's really nothing else really out there like that for us.
All right, well, I think that concludes this first portion of today's conference. We have time?
If we have time, I have one more question.
We have.
Thank you so much for being fearless and speaking to us and informing us with your experiences. My question is, while being with the BrandLab and coming to this industry, how have you, if you ever, experienced racial discrimination? How did you handle it, and how do you help other people that aren't BIPOC understand us without, like, how do we create that dialogue?
I would say for me is just be in tone with who you are, be proud of who you are. My personal experience is that a lot of jobs I've had to use my middle name. My middle name is Marion, and that does not at all sound like Moustapha. So I've had to use that on applications and all that before because I wouldn't get hired just solely based off my name. And so I guess from my perspective, BrandLab has also made me feel like I can just be myself in that sense, where my heritage, my name is something I'm proud of, and it's something that I don't want a part of that taken away from me. So I guess also having that space and being able to stand for myself and being able, and I don't have to do that with BrandLab, because BrandLab makes me feel like I can do that. But from my side, being able to be proud of where you come from, where your name, who you are, that's something that companies should also take note of. It's just not being accepting of them and being able to make them feel comfortable of who they are, not to have to change things about themselves. So I guess from my perspective, and also just to give a little advice, is let people be them. Let people, if they want to wear a hijab, people want to wear makeup, people want to do what they want to do in the workplace, let them, because they be themselves and they bring their best selves to the workplace. And by doing that, you're allowing those people to come in, smiles on their faces, being themselves, being proud of who they are, and also then therefore they can be proud of their work.
All right, so that concludes this first section of this conference. Once again, we should probably give this panel another round of applause. They did a great job. And by all means, find some time to connect with each of them today if you can. These are some wonderful young talent that we have the presence of being here today. So I want to personally thank you all.